What is happening, people? It is your boy Jack, and today we're going to be speaking all about Apple stock. Apple is a company that I love and I use their products every single day. I'm recording this video right now on an iPhone 8 Plus and I'm going to edit this on iMovie on my MacBook. But the question is, are they a good stock to invest in? And that is the question that we're going to answer today. We're going to look at all of the information out there. We're going to see what they have coming up. We're going to see how they've done in the past, how they've been affected by the virus. We're going to look at upcoming products, all of the ways they make money, how much money they make, everything along those lines. From an investor's point of view, it's always nice to invest in companies whose products you actually use. So for somebody like me who loves the iPhone and loves his MacBook, Apple makes sense to use. I actually use their products. But there is a lot more to Apple than just their phones, just their laptops, everything along those lines. We're going to go into all of it. So right before we get to the juicy stuff, I'm going to ask you, please smash a like on the video, subscribe and hit the bell button if you're new around here to never miss a future video, and drop me a comment with your thoughts on Apple down below. I'm always interested in hearing from you guys. But anyway guys, there's a lot to go through, so let's get straight to it. So now guys, I'm off of the iPhone, I'm onto the Mac, and it is time to have a look at a few things. We're just going to start it off really simple. What do Apple actually sell? So we'll start off with their Macs, okay? Loads of different Macs. The MacBook Air, that's what I currently am using. They've Pros, iMacs, iMac Pros. We all know about these things. Next up, iPads. Again, really popular. They have all different kinds of iPads. The same goes for the phones, you know what I mean? A lot of people right now are using the 11s, the 10s. But also, they have their watches, so they're relatively new to the smartwatch market. They're one of the most expensive smartwatches that there is. And then they also have their TV services and their music services. I, for the longest time, was an Android user. I just used them my whole life. This iPhone 8 Plus was the first Apple product I ever got. And I loved it so much that only 1 week later, I bought this MacBook. I don't know what it is, but they just feel so much smoother and more easy to use to me than any other phone in the world. 2 days before I bought this phone, I bought the newest Samsung at the time. I forget what it was, right? But I bought it and I was excited. I'd always use Samsung. I'd always use Android. And I hated it that much that I went and I sold it and I bought this 2 days later. As soon as I bought this phone, that was it. I am going to use Apple forever. When this phone dies, I'm going to buy the newest iPhone at the time. When this MacBook dies, I'm going to buy another MacBook. And a lot of people are really loyal to Apple. I'm one of them now. Look at this. Apple holds over 40% of the US smartphone market, so over 40% of the entire smartphone market, and has an 87% brand loyalty across the US and Europe. So people who buy one of their products are very likely to go and buy multiple of their products for years and years to come. And aside from just selling the physical products, they also sell loads of other services, okay? So you'll know some of these. Apple Music, I'm sure a lot of people are using that. The App Store or the Mac App Store. People use these and buy things off of them, and Apple obviously makes money. iCloud, I personally pay extra money every single month for more storage on iCloud, and I'm sure a lot of other Apple users do. iTunes and Apple Books, I know for a fact an awful lot of people use iTunes. I'm not too sure about Apple Books. And lastly, Apple Pay. Do you know how often I use this? It's so easy. I can just use my fingerprint on my phone and go and buy anything I want. I have not carried cash for so long. I have not carried cash for so long that I forgot the PIN to my bank account. Twice that has happened, that I've actually forgotten my PIN to use my debit card because I pay for everything on this or online. There were 1.8 billion Apple Pay transactions last quarter, more than double the year before. That's massive for Apple. Now we're just having a look at Apple's 5-year stock chart, and it looks damn nice. A 5-year change of plus 127.29%. Given everything that's happened these last couple of months as well, that's incredible. And if we just have a look at their 3-month change, they're only down 8.19%. They have significantly outperformed the market as a company. They're a company I 100% want to get involved in. The question is, do I want to get involved at $287 a share? We can see here there was a stage they were just above $220 a share not too long ago. We can see a stage here just about 3 weeks ago where they were down just above $220 a share. They're all the way back up to 287 already. They've gained nearly 30% in the span of 3 weeks from that low, which again is incredible. The question we have to ask, and we have to ask this with every single stock right now, not just Apple, is have we hit the bottom? Like, the large majority of people don't think that the market's just going to start going up again. They think it's going to come back down, potentially go lower, potentially go a lot lower. So we have to keep that in mind when we come to deciding if we want to buy them now or if we want to wait a little while. Me personally, I don't think I'd be particularly happy buying them right now at 287. Anything below 250 or so, I think I'd be a lot happier. Just having a look here, we can see they have a market cap of about 1.26 trillion. There was a stage where it was above 1.4 trillion. So an absolutely massive market cap. A PE ratio of 22.67, but we're going to actually speak about that very shortly in a little bit more detail. First though, I just want to have a look at some of Apple's financials, okay? And it's massive numbers. So gross profit September 2019, 98,392,000,000. I think with every company right now, we want to ask the question, will they be able to get through the tough times ahead? I don't think you even need to look at Apple to know that yes, they will be able. But anyway, what we'll look at, current assets 163 billion, okay? Total assets 340 billion with B's, absolutely massive assets. Current liabilities 102 billion. So yeah, absolutely no problems whatsoever in regard to debt. They're going to easily be able to get through it. Total liabilities 251 billion. So they have a very good balance sheet. Obviously not the absolute best in the world, but given the current situation, a very good balance sheet. And that shouldn't come as a surprise. It's Apple. It's one of the biggest companies in the world. We're looking at the list of largest companies by revenue in the US, and Apple is number 3 on the entire list with a revenue of $265 billion unis. So what do their future prospects look like? So the iPhone is obviously their most well-known product in the entire world, and the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro are due to come out more than likely the last quarter of this year. It could trickle into early next year. It's very hard to know just because of the situation that we're in right now with the virus, but that's when their next big iPhone is coming out. And what's exciting about this is it will be their first 5G compatible device. There's actually a reason for people to buy this phone. When the 10 came out, when the 11 came out, they're basically just slightly better versions of the 8. Just like the 8's a slightly better version than the 6 or the 7. But this is actually going to be their first 5G compatible device. It actually has a selling point. Now, I don't think this is actually going to make the biggest difference in the whole world, because when the first 4G phones came out, people weren't buying a phone just because it had 4G. But now, absolutely everybody has a 4G phone. I think the same will happen with 5G. People aren't going to go and buy a new phone if their old one's working perfectly just because they have 5G. But what they will do is the next time they're going to buy a phone, when their phone eventually dies off a year or 2 years down the line, they will be more inclined to go and buy a new up-to-date 5G phone. Especially when they see how much faster it is, how many other people have them, their friends all have them, they're going to be inclined to get the new phone. Apple has always been praised for, you know, how ingenuitive they are, how they're always making new products, how they're market leaders, how they're staying ahead of the game, and I expect that to continue going forwards. Now, are they a particularly good stock to buy now? Let's try and figure that out. So a dividend safety of 99, which is obviously amazing. A dividend yield of 1.07%. For a company like Apple to have any sort of a dividend, I'd call that a win, okay? A market cap, we've already said, of 1.26 trillion. And an uninterrupted dividend streak of 7 years. So they're relatively new to paying dividends, but now that they've started, I don't see them ever stopping. What I like about their approach with this dividend quite a lot is they've only paid out 24% of its earnings as a dividend. This is a safe and healthy payout ratio. Below 60% is their preference for most companies. Apple is only sitting at 24%, so that's fantastic. You know, this dividend is not hurting the company whatsoever. Their debt level is in great shape. We already kind of covered that, but yeah, they have no issues whatsoever when it comes to debt. They've generated positive free cash flow in each of the last 10 years. Obviously, it's Apple. One thing I want to have a look at here is, right, Apple's forward PE ratio is 22.1, which is well above its 5-year average of 14.8. Simply put, the stock looks pricey compared to how the market has valued it in recent years. Now, that's never a good thing to see. We want to get in, obviously, when a stock is undervalued, when it's cheap. And right now, we may potentially be paying too much for it. That's why I'm not particularly happy with the price it's at right now. But I think what also has to be kept in mind is Apple is one of the biggest companies in the world. And with the biggest companies in the world, they often have a PE ratio that is bigger than their 5-year average. We can just see what that looks like a little bit more here. So their PE ratio, it's gone up and down a lot, you know, it's been down, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down, it's been up, and now it is looking quite high in comparison to where it's been the last while. So maybe if we are to see another dip, that could be a good time to get in. But as of right now, it does look to be a little bit overvalued. But again, for a company as big as Apple, it's normal to see them overvalued because people are so optimistic about these stocks. It's obviously going to push the price higher than it potentially should be. So between having a look at this and having a look at their balance sheets, obviously it looks like a really safe investment. The only thing we have to worry about is not getting in too expensive. I definitely want to buy shares in Apple without a doubt. I just don't want to pay too much for them. But even if we just go and have a look at the 6-month chart, it still looks to be a relatively decent price. But I would personally much rather it see back down below the 250 mark before I decide to buy. But that is just me personally. Always form your own opinions. So guys, that is where I stand on Apple right now. In the long term, I think they're going to be an absolutely amazing company. I really do. If you are a long-term investor like myself who would hold on to Apple for 20, 30, 40 years, then even right now it probably is at an absolutely amazing price. And I never like to try and time the markets, but at the same time, I don't want to be silly with my investments. The period of time we're in right now is so different to how it is 99% of the time. 99% of the time, I would not care about my entry point on a stock. But when stocks are as volatile as they are right now because of the virus, I think you have to be a little bit smarter and a little bit more patient. I could completely miss out. I could be completely wrong. I could never get in at a price I'm going to be happy with. And that's fine. If I don't get in, I don't get in. That's just the way it is. But anyway guys, let me know your thoughts on Apple in the comment section down below. I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like. And until the next one guys, peace.